Ultrakill is the result of combining score attack games like Devil May Cry and adding in the speed of platinum games like Bayonetta. And what you get is just... You know what, just roll the montage. Right from the get-go, you know you're in for a wild ride. You start off breaking some boards and then sliding down hallways. Nothing special, right? Pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. Until you walk into a room where your first weapon is presented in such a way you think it was a gift from above. And then that music kicks in. Enemies spawn in, running straight for you, and you gotta act quick. You're running, shooting, blood is spraying all over the room, and once the dust settles, you realize that this was just the first room. And it only gets more intense the deeper you go. This is just a gameplay demo, but god damn, New Blood hit it out of the park here. The two difficulties presented in the demo do a great job easing you into the speed and chaos while offering secrets and challenges throughout the levels. And once you beat the normal difficulty, or if you're more accustomed to this style of game, the next difficulty will offer up such a challenge. The first thing you'll notice right away is how fast the movement is. Whether you're sliding or dashing, you feel like you're flying around, even being able to bounce off walls and dash mid-air, allowing for huge potentials in corralling enemies right where you want them. And when the time is right, you can force your character straight down, causing all beneath you to burst into chunks. This is viable while being chased by 6 or so grunts, and it is a huge bonus to your overall score. And the overall speed of the game is worth the adjustment because whether you're dodging projectiles or melee enemies, without the speed you wouldn't stand a chance. This isn't one of those games where you can match pace with enemies while walking backwards. No! The enemies in this game want you dead and therefore are full on sprinting towards you. This mixed in with tougher enemies spitting out tons of projectiles really keeps you on your toes, and while you're getting used to it, expect to die a lot. But where this game handles death is really a nice change of pace. Literally, throughout the levels you'll come across checkpoints and they're pretty well paced so you never feel like it's miles away from your next save, especially with death being seconds away at any moment. But when you die, a prompt pops up to respawn, and boom, you're back in. No reload, no black screen, you're back in as soon as you press the button. This may not seem like much, but considering how other games treat you to a load time when you die, this is instant gets my vote any day of the week. While the demo does offer up a couple of weapons to use throughout, the real kicker is how you utilize them. First off, there's no ammo or reloading, so you're constantly pumping bullets into enemies, but instead of just firing run-of-the-mill ammo, each gun has a secondary fire, with the pistol and shotgun receiving 2 that you can swap on the fly. With the pistol, you could charge up a shot to pierce through multiple enemies while flat out killing some of the larger ones. But you can also upgrade the pistol to a point where you'll throw coins into the air, and if you shoot the coin, the bullet will ricochet into enemies. Albeit the second mode is a little bit harder to use, and while you're constantly moving, lining up the shot for me at least seemed impossible. But the flare here is worth it. The shotgun is up next, and this thing is a damn room clearer. You can charge up an explosive shot that when released creates a huge blast, completely annihilating smaller enemies in tight clusters. There is a second mode for the shotgun that allows you to charge more shells, but I always seem to kill myself more using it, so I don't really understand how it works. But even with that said, it still makes for huge ass explosions. The last weapon presented in the demo is the needle gun, and this gun shreds through enemies and bosses. Its secondary fire launches a beacon that tracks your bullets, so while you're walking into a boss room, you launch a beacon and then fire away with no fear of missing while eating through health bars. And while you're cutting down droves of enemies that swarm you, it's inevitable you'll take damage. But instead of recharging health like other games, this game asks you to cover yourself in blood to regain health. So now you're encouraged to keep up close and personal while blasting enemy to small bits, all while sliding and dashing, and it's just a combination for some of the best shooting I've had in a long time. And as if it couldn't get any better, all while you're shooting and moving, that badass music in the background is egging you on to get more creative with your kills. Some small grunts get up you in your face, blast them back. Some guy shoots at you, dodge? No! Punch the projectile straight back at them. Oh yeah, there's a parry system too, boys. Time a well-placed punch just right and send the projectile back at the enemy and get a sick explosion out of it, all while the music pauses just for a second to really sink in what you've done. It's addicting and I love every second of it. The boss fights are interesting too. The first boss is pretty straightforward, strafe and dash while charging up your pistol, but the second one really shines. You'll be learning patterns and windups all while emptying tons of bullets. This goes for the rest of the bosses in the demo and they're all solid. It's like playing Bayonetta, but in a first-person shooter, and I'm a sucker for that level of combos. And even though the demo is short and sweet, if you're hungry for more you can replay through the game, but with all your guns and upgrades unlocked, giving you full range to utilize your entire arsenal from the get-go. Ultrakill's world is pretty straightforward, a hallway that leads into a room that sometimes leads into junction or murder playgrounds. And I do mean playgrounds. Sometimes you'll come into a room or space that has destructible environments like panels of glass over spinning blades. You charge up your pistol, shoot out the glass, and watch as the enemies turn into a red mist. Or while traversing through the demo, you can stray from the beaten path and find hidden secrets or tougher encounters. This mixed in with the movement allows you to really stretch the boundaries and has great potential for speedrunning. For example, there's a path you come to later in the demo that has acid on the ground, and the door to the next area is at the far end of the hall. The normal path that presents itself is full of crushing traps, and I'm not gonna lie, I had some issues with it. But if you're up to the task, you can skip that and parkour your way straight down the hall, saving time and skipping a difficult section. Not that you'll want to skip much though, because the environments are interesting to run through. Each level starts and ends by you jumping down an elevator shaft and then navigating through a machine-like interior. But as the enemies turn into chunks and get blasted like piñatas full of blood, the once clean room you entered is now drenched in fluid and debris. This can really be seen in one section where you're chasing an unknown adversary and the trail to follow them is literally just a path of carnage. This being a demo has me so excited for the full release, and even though there were only 2 difficulties here, there's more on the options screen for the full release. Same with the weapons. The pistols and shotguns both appear to have 4 different secondary fires, more tools to create some of the sickest montages. Automatically a recommendation for me. If you're a fan of fast-paced shooting and a game that won't melt your computer, give this a go. You won't regret it.